what my sound preferences are. I like bass. And if it can have quantity and quality, yeah, I'm rocking it. Especially mid bass. I like the slam over the sub bass rumble. I like my mids super clean. Not a big fan of overly colored, overly thick, overly warm mids. Not a big fan of that. And highs that are very sweet and seem to be able to keep up without ever being overbearing or in your face. So we'll find a way through the fallout cold I made. In this new reality we will embrace the change we'll rearrange. 3 dog spins from the station, love songs for everyone to hear without fear. In this land melodies fade fast, but not us, we will make it last. With you, I know we'll find our way through the fallout cold I made. With every mutation we'll embrace the change. With you, I know we'll find our way through the fallout cold I made. In this new reality we will embrace the change we'll rearrange. In every challenge we face, you take it on with grace. I try to better myself with steps I rearrange. With every step we take, our path becomes so clear. Together, forever, overcoming without fear. With you, I know we'll find our way through the fallout cold I made. With every mutation we'll embrace the change. With you, I know we'll find our way through the fallout cold I made. In this new reality we will embrace the change we'll rearrange. Welcome, this is the wasteland. Beware the radiation. Hello. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Draco, which is speak for dragon. And so let's talk about this little bad boy. And this is TRI's little 2 dynamic driver, open back, very funky looking little IM. These little guys, they are small shells. And they're vented all over the place. Open back, side back, front back, back, every back, your back. It's all vented. Anyway, enough silliness. Let's get into the reviewing process there, Mr. Monk. I was not quite so enamored with their previous one. I just reviewed the i3 Mark III. It has so much potential and does sound absolutely fantastic if you're willing to EQ this thing. But this thing was a massive surprise. So I was kind of let down by that one from the hype. Had this thing on a burn rack for like 6 days, and honestly, I forgot about it a bit. When I pulled it off the burn rack, they were quite warm. And I stuck him in my ears and went... Honestly, it was awesome. And I went, what the hell? how could the same group of engineers take those other 3 drivers and muck up the tuning and do such a phenomenal job with this? And of course, there is some bias towards my preferences as well. And if you've just watched and made it through that little bit at the beginning where I'm talking about what my preferences are, you'll know immediately. You would have said, oh, well, and then look at the kind of the graph of this one, if you know how to read a little bit of graphs, and go, well, Monk's gonna absolutely love this one, I think. And you would be right. Mid bass over sub bass gets me every single time. To me, that is the fun bass. It is more of the stuff that that makes, you know, it just makes you jive with the music. And that's what I really, really like. The top end looked like it has a whole bunch more energy, and it does. So it took me a little bit to play around, but immediately off the bat, first listen, it was like, yeah, I liking it. So let's talk about these little guys for a second. Smaller shells, you can see this big vent right on the top. It's got some holes in it, and I'll throw some cutaways here of how this thing is put together. These are CNC machined aluminum shells, and they're kind of anodized with this silver satin finish, and there's some design elements that I think they did really, really well. First of all, the finishing, the machining is spot on, beautiful, gorgeous. It looks way more high end than the $59 that they're asking for on this set. And the beveled edges are polished, and inside of that, you can't really see it in the pictures. I'll try to take some better pictures. It really looks way more expensive than it is. I mean, it looks way more expensive than my $930 Soft Ears Twilight, that's for sure. And nice little lip here. It holds your ear tips like a death grip. Here I'm using, and I'll explain why. So I'm using Divinus wide bore tips. Can you see how when that tip goes in, it's like a funnel for the music to come out and just funnel out? And these tips, for me, what they do on pretty much every IM is staging is phenomenal, absolutely fantastic. Enhances that. It also tightens up the mid bass, which if you have an IM like this that has a ton of mid bass, it just tightens it up really, really nicely. Here I'm using a custom XINHS gold silver cable that I got with the flat 2 pins. 4.4. It's going into an Onyx XI1 Alpha dongle, and my Shanling M1 Plus is my transport. Great little combination. And I use this specifically for, and we'll get into the sound in a bit. Let's talk more about what's inside of this little guy. So there's 2 dynamic drivers. Very unique. There's an 8mm LCP driver, liquid crystal polymer, otherwise known as a plastic dome driver. And that's doing the bass and the mids. And then you got a pure titanium dome, 6mm, to do the upper mids and highs. And the open back design. A lot of people talk about open back. What does that do? What is that specifically? Well, I mean, it is a way of dampening the drivers, controlling air pressure, controlling the cone movement. That's what an open back driver does. It also irritates your spouse when you're listening it too loud. because you can hear sounds coming out the other side, not just through the nozzle. Something to be cautious about if you're on public transit. Everyone's going to be enjoying your tunes as well. But what it does to the sound, we're not there yet. We haven't talked about. Let's wait. So, doing what TRI engineers did with that dual dynamic drivers and controlling the air pressure, they also had to control the front as well. And here they're using special dampening materials on the front as well to control all the air pressure, to give it its tightness, its bass, its excellent bass response, and balancing it off quite nicely. This is my kind of jam right here, right? I liked it on the warmer sources. I definitely liked it on that Onyx Alpha dongle. It was a great pairing. On more analytical sources like the Con Max, it's too much. It goes against its very nature, right? And the weirdest thing about doing your dialing in is that I use the fast filter on here, which normally boosts up the top end, which it does just a little bit, but and then the gold and silver cable, and put it all together. And again, you can play around with your tips and your sources and stuff. This is just how I heard it. I love that big bass shelf that this thing has. It sounds definitely more pronounced than it looks on paper, because that's because most of the usable bass range is in the lower bass and the mid bass, and there's not a lot of information in the sub bass. Though some tunings, like harmonish tunings, do emphasize on the sub bass and try to keep the mids cleaner. Again, this is not what this set is about. It can still pull quite deep. It does, the driver, that 8mm, does two things. Because it's smaller, it can respond faster, but yet it has a really nice, almost a little bit slower decay. But that adds in some nice texture and natural sounding, organic sounding bass. The bass hits, the kick drums, and even piano and instruments that play into lower notes like cello sound really natural, and I really like the way they sounded on the Draco. The mids, surprisingly, with that much lower mids and mid-range, stay relatively clean and again, I like the way that the Draco presents vocal playback and instrumental. They do sound quite natural, and it doesn't sound pitch perfect tonality wise. I don't think so. I don't care. It just sounds fun. And what a stupid descriptor, isn't it? Or is it? Because it's not an accurate fun. What does that mean? Well, to me, it means when it plays back music, it elicits emotion into me, and it gets you head bopping, toe tapping, air drumming, that kind of fun playback. That, to me, is more precious than technical details and bringing out an amazing 3D stage, though I do love that in different IMs. Again, I'll go say, and this is not what the Draco is really about. I love the amount of energy into the upper mids, as well as bringing instruments to life. It has enough information up there, and just the right information to not push things too forward, not to get shouty or nasally like I find in harmonish tunings. It doesn't do that, but enough to actually present in a way that makes it a more exciting listen for sure. It has lots of information up top to keep not just the music very dynamic, but in a way to enhance instrumental. I think that if you listen to an electric guitar, it has the excitement, the twang, all that you would be looking for in like rock music or. And I'll go into more specific into genres because I think the great IMs are not specific. They're not one-trick ponies. They can do a gamut of different genres and do it well, and not just have a more of an all-rounder. You've heard that expression. This is one of these sets that will let you turn it up in the volume and not fatigue you at all. Like your ears will thank you. It's still got tons of sizzle, but yet not enough to make you cringe or want to turn it down. In fact, it's the opposite. It just makes you want to turn it up. I was listening to this set. Let's get some music going on, right? Kendrick Lamar, Janet Jackson, R.E.M., Holly Cook, that's reggae, Tina Gao, cellist, pretty much everything. It's a fun set that really flavors more on just letting you vibe with the music over technical details. And let's talk about that open back. Is that gimmick or genius? I think it's definitely the latter. I think what the TRI engineers did here is really, really stand out. This is the kind of presentation that gives you a big, open spaciousness sound, if you've ever been to an open air concert. That's the kind of sound you get versus like a studio kind of 3D pinpoint spatial placement kind of thing. On live recordings, this set is so epic. Evanescence, Dead Can Dance, that kind of stuff. You can tell that it really just brings forth the emotion in the music in live recordings, and it's wonderful. And I'm a big live recording fan myself. S&M from Metallica 1 and 2, right? Fantastic. The trade-off is vocals and instrumentals doesn't always come off as clinically clear or resolving with this kind of tuning. I saw someone else actually post in a review. I didn't watch it, but the title, I think it said lo-fi, and it got me thinking. The first thing I was thinking was that a slight against this set? But honestly, I don't think so. I think it's an awesome descriptor. Listening to one of my favorite jazz artists, Jimmy Smith. He plays a Hammond organ, and it has a unique sound and tonality of that Hammond organ. And not every IM or headphone can reproduce that in its... what I remember sitting there in front, 4 tables back, listening to it. And it just brought me right back to the bourbon and the cigar smoke. And yeah, I was right there, transported. The reverberations, the bass, holding your wine glass, well, my wife's wine glass. I'm drinking bourbon. Anyway, vibrating and with the, you know what I mean? And this is how this set made me feel. Then I was just letting my player go through my faves. Next up came Melissa Etheridge, and I just started singing along to her unique voice. I love Melissa Etheridge. Next song was Metallica. Well, it was a Metallica tribute, The God That Failed by Idols. And I said to myself, this Draco, this is my jam. And if this is lo-fi, bring it on, right? Give me more. I can't suck up enough from this $60 and it just goes to show you that, I have Summit Phi IMs and I can find massive pleasure. This goes into one of my boxes in the first box, because it's one of these IMs. I don't care, regardless, looking at the sticker price, if you enjoy it, if it brings you if you vibe with it and you love what it does in its special way, then that's fantastic. So again, it kind of doesn't really matter to me whether it's a $60 set or a $6,000 set. If it does something, if it elicits emotion for you from the music, then winner, winner, chicken dinner all the way. And you're laughing because it's $60. End of review. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. I'm out.